out the live together feature of YouTube, which I think is a vertical sort of a thing. And I have my friend Phil Vignola Jr. in here, who has lots of YouTube channels, Photo Gear Fun, and gosh, what's your other one called? Bull City Birding. Which what is Bull City?
Bull City is Durham, North Carolina.
Which that's where you live?
Yeah, the beautiful hometown.
Cool. And that, how far do you have to drive from Bull City to get to Lake Betts? Or is that
7
in Bull
miles.
City?
Yeah, it's technically in Morrisville, which is the next town over, but it's 7 miles.
Gotcha. So Philly V, as I like to call him, has all sorts of videos and does all sorts of bird photography from a place called Lake Betts, which I think is spelled Betz. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah.
And he takes all sorts of really cool bird photos there with all sorts of stuff. And you should definitely check out his channel, which is called Bull City Birding. And I wonder if anybody's in here. Let's see. I'm going to try to see if this thing says I'm live. Holy cow! It says I'm live, and there's 8 people watching. That's awesome. Whoops! I've made sounds. Any of you? Well, 6 people watching. We're going down. Uh, Anybody who's in the chat, say hello. I'll say hello as well. Except for I think I spelled it wrong. And Philly, anything significant about today?
Yeah, probably for me, my birthday.
Yeah. So what are you turning? What are you turning? 50?
39.
Yeah, me too. I just turned 39 last week. Let's see. It seemed like I did the math. 55, is that right?
56. Yeah.
Oh man, 50, 56. I remember it like it was 3 years ago.
Cross the double nickel.
Yeah. Let's see. David Olson is in here. Hi, guys. Bird photographer here from South Florida. Man, Philly V and I go to Florida if we're lucky and do bird photography. I've gone 3 times this year. I think Phil went at least once. There's Joshua Pope, who I think is from Knoxville. Good afternoon to you, Joshua. But anyway, we don't have any idea what we're doing. I just messaged Phil, who's in the middle of his birthday, and I think he's a little under the weather, so he's not getting to enjoy his birthday very much. And said, "Hey, do you want to try this go live together feature?" And he was game. So here we are. So if you guys
Yeah,
have anybody in the chat has any questions or anything to give us an idea what in the world we're doing, we'd love to hear from you.
yeah, it's prime migration season too. The place I was going to go this morning, there was a Connecticut warbler, Wilson's warbler, and golden wing warbler found, along with all the other warblers that kind of come through our area, which are many in the fall. And of course, I'm not there, but I'll be there tomorrow. So hopefully they'll still be around.
That's cool. I'm learning from Phil that even though he's just, not too far to the east of where I am, the birds he gets are different. Apparently, I think he's actually in a better place from a migratory bird point of view, maybe than I am here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. But today I went out and shot with the Z8 and the 600 PF, and I got a lifer. I got a Nashville warbler, which is funny because I've lived in Tennessee all my life, and it's the first time I've ever gotten a Nashville warbler. But Nashville warblers are only in Tennessee during migration. I learned that the guy who discovered it in like 1814 or something discovered it in Nashville, and that's how it got its name. But they breed in southern Canada and the extreme northern United States, and they winter south of here. But in the middle of that, they pass through, and I got to see one. The picture, like let's say, the part of the screen that is me is my screen on the camera. Well, my eyeball is the bird. Very, very small in the frame, but still sharp. So I was happy with it. Let's see, the 50 Simmer fellow birder from the Netherlands. Wow, we're
Wow.
worldwide. See, and I was thinking that we might because it's where I am is I should know where to find the time on this computer. It's 3 o'clock here, 3:01 in the afternoon, and I was thinking, people from the United States probably will be at work right now, so they wouldn't be able to join us. But there you are, the 50 Simmer in the Netherlands. It's probably I don't know what time it is in the Netherlands. Maybe you could help us out. 21:01, so 9:01. So he's up. My bedtime is like 9:30 because I'm an old man. But 9:01, I'd be if I was watching it at 9:01, I'd be getting ready to go sleep. Let's see. David Olson just watched your video from Sebastian Inlet. Yeah, I love that place. Never been there, but planning to make the 2-hour drive up there next month. Hopefully, to shoot hunting osprey with the D500, the 200, 500. When I went this year, Heather and I went in March. It wasn't that great. As a matter of fact, I'm going back to I guess Central Florida is what you would call it in March of next year, and I'm probably not going to visit Sebastian Inlet because the stick marsh was way better in March, and so was Orlando Wetlands. But if you can go when the mullet are running, I think is when the osprey are going crazy there. Um, it's really, really great, and I don't know when that is, but that's one of the places that Mark Smith, the um, one of the best bird photographers in the world, in my opinion. That's one of the places he goes a lot. Marcus Hedman is from Sweden. Hello.
Right.
How are you doing, Marcus? What time is it? What time is it in Sweden? Phil,
David, are you in?
are you going to Florida in March?
I'm not sure what our plans are. Probably at some point in March. Yeah, we were supposed to, Phil, we were supposed to go earlier in the year, and it didn't didn't work out. So we're hoping to get back down there. And springtime's usually a good time to go there.
Gotcha. We're going in March. We're going to go just kind of like last year. I don't know the exact dates, but we're going to drive down and spend the night in St. Augustine and go to their alligator farm. You and I went to Gatorland, which is in
Right.
Orlando, but in my opinion, the St. Augustine alligator farm is a little bit better. We're going to go there one morning, and then we're going to spend 2 days at a hotel that we haven't picked out yet. That's kind of halfway between the Stick Marsh and Orlando Wetlands. And our plan is to go to the Stick Marsh in the morning at sunrise, which is fantastic for spoonbills coming into to landing. All you need is 300 millimeters full frame equivalent for it. And then in the evenings around sunset, we'll go to Orlando Wetlands and probably rest and eat in between those. So we'll do that for 2 days. And then, my daughter's working at Walt Disney World. So we're going to go over to Walt Disney World. I think we're going to spend 2 nights at the Saratoga Springs Resort at Disney World and see her. I don't even know if we're going to go to the parks, but we'll just see her and then do the 10 to 12 hour odyssey of a drive back home. So that's our plans for March. I don't know exactly when, but I think it's the second week of March, but I'm not 100% sure. It might be the third week of March. It's whenever UT Chattanooga is on spring break because Heather will be able to take off real easy. So anyway,
There's
okay.
Anastasia State Park right there too. Have you been there? I did a video on it on Anastasia State Park, which is not too far from the alligator farm, if I remember correctly. That's a pretty good spot for shorebirds and
Yeah, the thing that worries me about that place is I bet there's a whole lot of walking
yeah.
involved, and that's not. I'll have Heather with me, and she's not
Oh,
all
man.
that good with the excessive walking. Let's see. The Sweden time is the same as the Netherlands, so everybody's hanging out with us at a little after 9 o'clock. Uh, Josh Joshua Pope says he would also suggest Lape. I never can pronounce that.
Popka.
Apopka, yeah,
Yeah.
and Payne's Prairie. There's so many places I need to check out, and I have such a small amount of time while I'm down there, and I end up going to the places I know. Um, but at one point, I didn't know the places I know, so there was some adventure in me at some point, but I'm not sure if I'm going to check out those places. Lake Apopka sounds like a lot of walking. I don't know about Payne's Prairie. I've never heard of Payne's Prairie before, but I've definitely heard of Lake Apopka.
Actually, there's a lot of spots around Lake Apopka. I did a couple of videos from Lake Apopka, I think maybe back in January, February. But there's the Lake Apopka Wildlife Drive too, it's only open on weekends, which you can do. I think it's like an 11-mile drive that you don't really have to walk at all. You can just
Oh,
stop and kind of like
okay.
the other wildlife drive we did down there in Florida.
Okay, well, maybe I will check out the Lake Apopka thing because that's how Heather and I do our best work. I'll be in the driver's seat and I'll have her behind me, but on the driver's side, and we'll be working out of the driver's side of the car. Now, if a bird happens to be on the passenger side, it's easy for her; she can scoot over. A little more difficult for me, but I'll make it work. Let's see. David says that Payne's Prairie is in Gainesville, home of the Florida Gators and the Swamp, where Tennessee has to play there in a month or so. And he shot osprey there and thousands, all caps, of alligators. That's a lot of alligators. So, what have you been shooting, Philip? Philip Vignola Jr.
I've been shooting warblers almost exclusively, and I need to stop being so lazy and actually get a video done for my channels. But I I recently sold my R5, original R5, and got the Mark
Yes,
II.
I remember that, and you sold it for $1,500, and your old friend Phil would have probably made that purchase if you'd only offered it to him.
Well, and I have to say they actually gave me 1,600, so they quoted me 15, they gave me 16. So
Oh shit, I'm
that,
out at 1,600. No way.
that's
There's
an extra $100.
that's crazy talk.
But I've been actually shooting the A7CR, which is my main camera, and the 200 to 600 Sony lens, because the ones that I have for the R5 Mark II, which is the new camera, is a 2 to 8, and sometimes f9 just doesn't work, especially in the place where I'm going tomorrow. There's just not enough light. It's pretty challenging photographically, but the birds are just amazing there. So tomorrow
Yeah.
I'll bring the Sony, I'll bring the 1.4 teleconverter, but I almost never use it there.
Gotcha. F9, shoot, you can't shoot that lens at F9. You got to stop it down to F10 to
I
get
know.
it.
Well, I know. Yeah,
Well, I mean,
f9.
you can shoot it at F9 at 600 millimeters, but if you're going to go to 750 or 800, F10 looks a lot better. But anyway, that's cool. Today I was using this and it was not enough, man, because I was shooting some warblers from the car, but they were about 75 feet away. And the way I know that is if you touch the manual focus ring on this camera, the distance will come up in your EVF. The distance that you are away will come up in the EVF. So there's a setting on the Canon cameras where it can always be there. It can have your distance at all times, and I have that turned on my Canon cameras. But on this Nikon, as far as I know, the only way to do it is to just bump the manual focus override, which is at a really good spot on this lens, right where I would have my hand anyway. My thumb can just reach up, touch it, and do a little spinny spin. But anyway, 75 feet is too far away to get a decent photograph of a bird that's this big, even with a 600 millimeter lens. So uh, I needed more today, but I made it work, kind of, sort of. The only shot that filled the frame, and even it didn't fill the frame, was a brown thrasher, which is about twice as big as a warbler. And it was about 25 feet away, according to the old thumb on the manual focus override. And, it didn't fill the frame, but I was able to crop it just a little bit and then fill the frame.
Yeah, so I got the Osmo Nano, and
Let's see it.
I was gonna do a video on it or with it when I went to Lakeland the other day, and I didn't read how to use it, and I thought I was starting recording with just the little camera itself, and I wasn't. So my clips didn't work out. So I didn't do a video, but I am going to use it tomorrow, hopefully at Brumley, and see how that goes.
Okay. So you've figured out how to make it go now?
Yeah, you have to press it twice. All I had to do is just read probably the quick start guide.
Yeah. That makes sense.
But we'll see how it goes. It's going to be my POV kind of camera. So I probably won't always use it, but I figured I'd test it out to see how it works for POV because you can. It's got the little medallion, so you can stick it on your, wherever you want, basically, and then you've got the little viewer thingy. It's
So
basically the Action
I
5.
I don't know much about that camera. Is that a 360 camera or is that a action camera? What is it?
Yeah, it's really kind of the Action 5 that they broke down into, the base and then the camera itself, more for POV kind of shooting. So it's not 360. It's the same angle of view, and it's the same sensor and everything as the Action 5.
Okay. Does it have the really good digital stabilization like the DJI Osmo? I have the three. I have the three. And I used it at Disney World. The only thing I don't like about that camera is I can't use like this wireless DJI microphone. I can't use it with it, and I think the 4 and 5 you can. I wonder if you can use the wireless microphones with your gizmo.
Yeah, so I've got probably, I don't know if the camera's going to focus on that, but I've got the minis.
Yeah, that's what's magnetized to my Rush World
Oh,
Tour 2007 shirt.
yeah, so that works fine with this. It pairs just like with my Osmo Pocket 3. It pairs natively with it. So it's a nice little setup where you got this tiny little mic and that tiny little camera.
Yeah. Did it come with it or
No, I bought the minis separate, so I'm
okay,
going to use
next
those with the Pocket
next
3.
question, how much is that unit?
299.
Oh, oh yeah. How long's the battery last?
They
You
say
had
200.
you
They
don't
say
know, you hadn't
200
used it
minutes.
yet.
Yeah, they say 200 minutes, and then I think it's like 90 minutes with just this. So basically, this has I got there's two different sizes. I got the 64 gig, so it's all internal memory here. So you can record 64 gig on this, and then you can transfer it to this when you connect it. So there's an SD card slot in here. It supports up to 2 gig, I think. So you can put an SD card in here, plug it in, offload to the SD card, and then once this is full, you can just format it and move on. They didn't have the 128 gig available, and I only found this on Amazon. Interesting enough, B&H and others didn't have it. I don't know if they do now. And that's why I got the 64 gig because they didn't have the 128 either. So they just had this one unit on
Six
Amazon.
64 is plenty, I think.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. I
I
mean, so I'm guessing it'll do 4K.
up to 120. Yeah,
Yeah, and 4K 24 is what I use. So, you
yeah,
know, I'm easy on video. I don't I
yeah.
don't
Me too.
need I don't need major specs for video.
And I love my Pocket 3, but it's a little big at times and a little cumbersome from the gimbal. I feel like I have to baby it a little more than I might something like this. So
Yeah, and I have a hard time. Uh, Sometimes when I'm filming stuff other than me, it doesn't point where I want it to point.
yeah.
Um, I did a room tour on my other channel on Filmex videos of Bay Lake Tower, and half the time it's pointing in the direction that I didn't want it to point. It's always it seems like it's always pointing a little too high, and I'm leaning the camera down further, and it's going up further. I don't know. I'm sure it's operator error. Let's see. J
Well, if it is,
Rod
we're doing it
Photo
in the
Art.
same way because I have the same problem.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think I have noticed that in some of your footage. It's just it's hard to, but it's a great camera most of the time. J Rod Photo Art says Phil live on a Thursday. Oh yeah, we got two Phils live on a Thursday. And the 50 Summer says I have the Z8 and the 180 to 600. Is it worth trading in the lens? It's 99% of the time at 600 and get the 600 millimeter, or is the extra money not worth it? Well, that's a great question. The 180 to 600 is its sharpest stop down a little bit. It looks its very best at like f instead of 6.3, it looks its very best at 7.1 or even f8. This lens, and you can look at this on the Photography Life testing. I'm going by their testing, not my own. This lens is at its very sharpest, wide open at 6.3. And at 6.3, this lens is sharper than the 180 to 600 is at its very sharpest when you stop it down some. So the difference, the difference, I don't know if it's worth the extra money because man, that the 600 is a lot of money, and it's smaller and lighter than the 180 to 600. So there's another thing, but I don't know, man. I'm glad I bought it, but if I was tight on money, I don't think I would. I just happen to have a little surplus cheese in my bank account, and they put it on sale for I think $700 off when I bought mine, or some large number, which probably with tariffs is not a well. Actually, in the Netherlands, you probably don't have to worry about tariffs, but over here in the United States, things have gone crazy. But anyway, I love this lens. I like it a lot better than the 180 to 600. As a matter of fact, now that I have this and the 100 to 400, I almost never use my 180 to 600. But if I could only have one of those three, it'd be the 180 to 600. But I like the combination of this, which costs more than the 180 to 600, and the 100 to 400, which costs more than the 180 to 600. I like those two lenses better than the 180 to 600 by itself. But again, if I could only have one, it'd be the 180 to 600. So I probably didn't answer your question, but I said a lot of words, so that's all that matters. J Rod Photo Art says the zoom is always handy to have, and I agree with that completely. As a matter of fact, when Philly V, who's in the chat with me here in the stream with me, and I were at where were we at? We were at Gatorland in Orlando, and I started out with this lens on there, and it was too long, and so I had to stop and take this lens off and put my 100 to 400 on. If I had brought my 180 to 600, I would not have had to change lenses. I could have just zoomed. So anyway,
that 100 to 400 is a great lens on the Nikon system.
I'm pretty pleased with it. I'm pretty pleased with it. It's I still think maybe Canon's 100 to 500 is a better lens. Even its external zoom and the Nikon is internal zoom. I think. Am I wrong about that? I got so many lenses I can't remember which ones zoom which way. But anyway, I just like that extra 100 millimeters on the Canon 100 to 500. It is slower though. So anyway,
yeah, but there's so many other things wrong with that Canon 100 to 500. For me personally, that number one being the price, but also the fact that you lose when you put a teleconverter on there. You lose 100 to 200, 100 to 300 range, and it's just as far as sharpness goes, it's a spectacular lens. But
yeah.
I bought the 100 to 400 was one of the first lenses that I got in the Canon system, and I couldn't justify, even though that's not. I mean, it's a $600, $700 lens. It's still a great little lens. And then having the 2 to 800, there's no way I'm getting the 1 to 5.
Yeah. Well, you should sell the 2 to 8. That'd be my suggestion.
Funny story on that. I lent it to a friend, and he was out taking owl pictures. He used his tripod, and he dropped it.
Did it break in the middle like they're famous for doing?
Actually, surprisingly not, because he had it kind of collapsed. But Dwayne Patterson did a video, and his story was the first story featured in the video about like gear mishaps or something to that effect. So my lens is immortalized in that video because he dropped it, and he had to send it to Canon. I think it cost like $500 or $600
I need to watch this video. I usually watch most of Dwade's. You talking about Dwade from Australia, Dwade?
Yeah.
I usually watch most of his videos. I'm surprised I missed that one. I'll have to check it out and look at your lens.
Yeah, I'll send you the link. And it's it was pretty funny when he told me. He's like, "Man, something horrible happened." I'm thinking like his dog died or whatever. Like I just dropped the lens. Like whatever.
Yeah, it wasn't a very good lens anyway.
Yeah, maybe it'll come back sharper. Who knows?
Yeah. To anyone who owns a 200 to 800, and I'm always poo-pooing on the 200 to 800, I apologize, but I'm probably going to keep on poo-pooing about the 200 to 800. But I made some pretty good shots with it when I had it, but I don't know, more often than not, it disappointed me more than it impressed me. But you know what also disappoints me? Teleconverters. You know what I mean? You said that the 100 to 500 doesn't spin your propeller because when you put the teleconverter on, you lose some of the zoom range. Dude, you know what else you lose? Image quality. Holy cow! You might as well be shooting with the 200 to 800 once you put that teleconverter
on. It's funny. I've done a lot of side by side, and with the Sony. So I've got the Sony 1.4. And the image quality difference in the Sony 1.4 and then without it, to me, is negligible. I had not seen any instances where I go, "Oh wow, I should never use a teleconverter again." And I use the teleconverter a lot because I shoot warblers a lot, and 840 is better than 600. So
yeah, I could have used 840 today for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
So, when I did some testing, and I compared the 100 to 500 with the teleconverter, and without it, and in addition to it losing some of its sharpness, it also got a kind of a cast. There was a
Huh.
different color to the images. I shot with the 200 to 800. I shot with the 800 f11. I shot with the 100 to 500. All the pictures looked the same in terms of their color. And then I put the 1.4 extender, RF extender, on the 100 to 500, and the color of the pictures changed.
Huh.
So anyway, what about, when are you going to get the Sony 400 to 800? Now that's a lens that I actually think, and I haven't used one, but I think it's possible that Sony may have done a better job in terms of sharpness at 800 millimeters than Canon did. But I don't have that lens, and really I probably won't be buying it. I'm not in the Sony system enough. But I do like, I think my next video that comes out, what day is this? Thursday. My next video that comes out Saturday is with the A6700 and the 200 to 600. So I still use Sony. But
Yeah.
when you going to get the 400 to 800, Philly V?
That's a good question. I love the 2 to 6 so much. So I have a friend who ordered it the day it came out, and he and I went shooting together. And I did some side by sides with. I had my 2 to 6. He had the 4 to 8. He let me borrow the 4 to 8, and I can't say anything bad about that lens, other than I might want to shoot at 250, right, or 200 sometimes, depending
Yeah.
on where I am. Like a Great Blue Heron might be close or whatever. So other than having to potentially back up, it's f8 at 800, so it's the third of a stock better in light than the 2 to 800 Canon. It's far sharper than the Canon 2 to 800. It's sharper than the 2 to 600 Sony in
Is
my
it an
test.
internal zoom?
It is too, yeah. So
Man,
it's nearly identical in size and weight to the 2 to 6 as well. I think it weighs, I don't know, maybe like half a pound more, something like that. It's just a little bit longer. It's if you were to look at the two side by side and you didn't see the markings, you'd have a hard time kind of telling them apart.
is it a real short throw on the zoom the way the 200 to 600 Sony is?
Yeah, it's even shorter since you've got, technically, theoretically fewer millimeters to go through. But
Yeah. Man, that
I
the Canon 2 to 8, it's like you're changing a tire zooming
yeah,
that thing.
there's so many things I dislike about that lens. You're talking about where the focus ring is on that 600 PF, that Canon 200 to 800. And I use manual focus a lot when I'm trying to get to these warblers in the thickets, and it's just almost unusable. One of the things I hate about that lens, and the
Yeah.
fact that, like you said, it's a 3-turn throw to get out from 2 to 8.
And you can't take the tripod foot off.
That doesn't bother me because I usually wear a cotton carrier, so I would have it on anyway. But
Gotcha.
yeah,
Well, all of those problems with the 200 to 800, it breaks in half. Wait a minute. Let's not include that one because I didn't experience that. But the long zoom, the gosh, what were the other ones? We just talked about them.
the control slash manual focus ring.
Yeah, the manual focus override is not super intuitive to get to like it is, for example, on this lens. All of those things, I wasn't keen on them, but they're not what made me sell the lens. What made me sell the lens was I was disappointed with image quality.
Hmm.
So I was willing to live with the other issues, especially at the price. But gosh, the image quality bothered me, and it didn't always bother me. At 707 millimeters and f10, the
Yeah.
lens is pretty close to good.
Yeah, I rarely go above 750, so I'll usually keep it around 700 and
Yeah.
f10. Yeah.
That lens is weird. It will not, like, it if you were at 800 and you turn it just the smallest amount, it won't give you 799. The
Yeah.
next thing it returns is 742, and the
Yeah.
next thing it returns after that is 707. And I don't have the rest of it memorized, but some of my Nikon lenses give me like 34.5 millimeters. That thing is not that way. Oh, there's comments. I'm going to catch up on comments. Uh, West Virginia Wildlife. Hello, West Virginia Wildlife. I like your cardinal. I use the Canon R5 II. Philly V's got one of those with the 100 to 500. Ooh, I got one of those. The lens is so much better than the 600 f11. Way sharper and versatile. I've kind of thought about getting the 600 f11. I really like the 800 f11 and the 600 f11. The minimum focus distance, which is terrible on the 800 f11, is still bad on the 600 f11, but not as bad, and it's even smaller and even lighter. If I can find a good condition one really cheap used, it's a maybe. Let's see, but he says he likes the 100 to 500 much better, and I don't blame him. Um, West Virginia Wildlife says I had the 200 to 800 and returned it. I sold mine, and the 100 to 500 is way sharper, even cropped. Well, there's a video on the channel, West Virginia Wildlife, and it was Heather and I, and we were on the Black Point Wildlife Drive in at Merritt Island in Florida. And we were both, she was in the back seat, I was in the front seat. And so we're the same distance from the reddish egret that we were making pictures of. And we're taking pictures of that thing. And I've got the 200 to 800, and she was using the 100 to 500. We were both on R7s. And when she cropped her pictures, they were sharper than mine. She was at 500 millimeters, I was at 800 millimeters. And when she cropped hers, they still had more detail than mine at 300 millimeters longer because she was using a lens that was sharper. So that was a big tell for me. Okay, let's see what's next. J-Rod Photo Art says, I rarely use teleconverters, and that is the same for me. You know, I used to use them all the time. My setup used to be a Nikon D800 full frame, 36 megapixels. The big weighs more than a Buick, 500 millimeter f4, the f4G, and the 1.4 teleconverter. That was what I used all the time. It was 700 millimeters, 5.6, and it was pretty good. Or maybe my standards were lower then. I'm not sure. Let's see here. For West Virginia Wildlife says, I don't use a teleconverter. I think it's sharp enough without it. Okay, I'm with you. And West Virginia Wildlife says, I can walk around with the 100 to 500 and take pictures of things right in front of me on the floor. It's a Swiss Army knife of lenses. 100 millimeters is useful even for landscape shots. I agree. Yeah, that's a, because to me the 100 to 400, which Nikon used to make an 80 to 400, and most people make 100 to 400s. Nikon's got a 100 to 400 now. To me, that's a landscape photography lens. And the fact that the Canon now has the 100 to 500 to fit that slot, it opens it up, in my opinion, more to being a wildlife lens than the Nikon 100 to 400. So if I had a $1,500 Canon R5, uh, anyway, let's see here. Next comment. The Urban Camper. I love the 200 800. Some amazing shots with it, and sometimes I just scratch my head at it. My 100 to 400, I'm guessing that's f8, is always consistently clean. I might get a 100 to 500 to complete my kit. I love that little 100 to 400.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about that lens is whenever I make a video with it, it does great in terms of views on the channel. I need to get out and shoot with that one more time pretty soon. Let's see here. I'm not sure how to pronounce Skyvun, but I sure am glad that you're here with me. And he says, gift me the Z50, Phil Thatch. I know you have ability and good heart too. Well, I do have a Z50 that I don't use very much, and my heart's relatively good, but I don't think I'm going to give any camera gear away. I wish I was that financially secure that I could be that benevolent, but unfortunately, uh, I can't. I'm sorry. If I get rid of some camera gear, I got to sell it because I got to replace it with other camera gear. And most of the time, my camera gear I have to pay for. Not all the time, but most of the time. The Urban Camper's got a Canadian flag, which I love. That Heather and I went to Banff and Calgary just a little over a year ago on our honeymoon. Been listening for 5 minutes, and now you sold me on the 500. Okay. I wish I had an affiliate link. uh, have to go. Love your channel. Thank you so much. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it for stopping by on this weird middle of the day live stream with my old buddy Philly V. Philly V of Bull City Birding on
No,
YouTube. Subscribe. I promise he's going to make another video someday.
yeah, maybe as soon as this week. We'll
Awesome.
see. But that 1 to 400 lens, getting back to that, I don't think there's a better value on the market, that Canon 1 to 4, and I use that a lot with the R7 for video, and to handhold video at 400 millimeters on a crop sensor and still have usable video, it's pretty amazing. Yeah, and it's light. So I went to
Yeah,
when I
it's
went
light
to
as a feather. Look how small it is. I mean, it's tiny.
yeah.
And I've used, I talked about 100 to 400 millimeter lenses are good for landscape photography. I've used this for landscape photography, and I used to when I mainly shot Canon. If I was hiking to a waterfall, this thing is so small and light that even if I was going on a 3 or 4 mile round trip hike, which is kind of my limit, um, I could. This thing is small and light and would fit in my bag and not make it where I couldn't do the trip. So, if there was a bird, as long as it wasn't too far away, I could shoot it with this while I was on my landscape photography hike. If there was something, this thing has a great minimum focus distance and
Yeah.
a pretty good maximum magnification. Take a picture of a mushroom or something with it. Anyway, can't say enough good stuff about this. What does our boy Dwayne Patton say on the thumbnail? Crikey, what a ripper!
That's right.
That's what it says on the thumbnail of his video. I think that thing's got 1 million views.
Yeah, so I when I went down to Florida in, I think it was January. Anyway, I took the R7 and the 1 to 400, and that was it. I knew I'd be shooting a lot of like shorebirds and wading birds, so I wasn't too worried about warblers, and I wanted to travel light. And other than the R7 and its autofocus issues, I definitely don't have any complaints about the lens. It did a great job.
Yeah, I wish the R7 didn't have autofocus issues, and I tried to kind of I don't know what the right wording is for this, but pretend they weren't there. You know,
Same here.
but they are there. But I tell you, for you, a man who likes to shoot single, click, 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 what I do with the R7, because I don't click, 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 I press and hold. I set it on 4 frames per second, the slowest speed, and turn on electronic shutter. And it has time, because the reason its autofocus is sporadic is because the readout speed of the sensor is slow. But at 4 frames per second, it has time to grab focus again, and your hit rate is much much higher, and your
Yeah,
pictures to go through are much much less. Heather likes to shoot 15, and
yeah,
that camera will do 30, but
yeah.
and I used to do 15, but now I do 4. Clinkety 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 clinkety, just like my old D800.
Yeah, my finger was really tired on that Florida trip. And for those who don't know, what Phil was referring to is I do single shot manual focus when I shoot birds, which most people
Not
don't
you.
believe.
You don't do
But
manual focus.
no, no, sorry. What did I say? Manual
You
focus.
say you meant to say mechanical
Manual
shutter.
shutter. Yes. Single shot manual shutter because the
Mech-
rolling shutter on the A7 is so bad.
he means mechanical shutter.
Yeah, mechanical shutter. What?
You were saying manual shutter. It's okay. You're
Oh,
under
yeah,
the
mechanical.
you've just turned a year older. Your mind's getting a little softer.
Um,
Trust me, I know. And
and,
you're under the weather. I mean, I just appreciate you joining me for this crazy chat we got going.
and drinking
But yeah,
straight vodka too.
he told me that he shot single shot, and I thought he was bullshitting. And then we're at Orlando Wetlands shooting together, and a bird flies by, and I've mentioned this on another live stream, but anyway, a bird flies by, and I usually shoot at 12 or so frames per second on this. Today I was shooting at 8. I love this camera because you can set it wherever you want. Um, and a bird flies by, and I'm going. I didn't have it at 20, which is the fastest it'll go in RAW. But I hear Phil, and he's over here going click, click, click. Like, holy cow, he wasn't kidding. And you would think, oh, you can't get good shots that way. Well, he can. I've seen him do it. I don't recommend it, but
No,
he can do
I
it.
wouldn't recommend it either.
But he can do it, and he does. I'm going to read another comment, Philly V. Now that you have joined OM system, how will it fit into your wildlife plans? Well, I'm going to, I don't think it's going to be my main wildlife system, but it may be as much as 50-50 with this camera. Probably, I don't know. I really don't know. exactly how it's going to go. My next several videos after the Sony video that's coming up will be OM system, and I'm using that 8 to 25 lens quite a bit, which is a 16 to 50 full frame equivalent, and I love that um, 40 to 150 that I have, tiny little thing. That's 80 to 300 full frame equivalent f4. I got a whole video coming up with that lens at Epcot, Disney's Epcot, and it's all photographs of white ibis.
Mm.
There's some white ibis that there's an area near the Canada Pavilion that people eat near this rail, and on the other side of the rail is quite often a bunch of white ibis, and sometimes they toss some food. So they're wild birds, but they're kind of tame. And I'm filling the frame with their head with a lens this big. Um, Crazy. Anyway, there you have it. Pay $150 to go to Epcot, and instead of riding rides, you take pictures of birds that some people consider to be a nuisance, but I think they're beautiful. Let's see. That was Dr. W.J. Brown. Hey, thank you for joining the stream. Philly V and I are pleased to see you. Happy Larry, hello, Happy Larry. Thanks for joining the stream. Says I have the OM1 Mark II. Love that with the 150 to 400, that's the big white. That's the one that's f4.5 and it has a built-in 1.25 teleconverter. I also have the Canon R5 Mark II with the 100 to 500 lens and the 1.4. Keep on gravitating back to the OM system for the reach. Interested in rumored RF 300 to 600. I think if with those two cameras, I think I would shoot the OM1 Mark II and the 150 to 400. If you said, "Hey, Phil, which one are you taking?" If you have to get the shot, I think I'd take the OM1 Mark II and that 150 to 400. It's really good. I enjoyed using it when I got to borrow it from them a little while back. Let's see, dialing in from the UK. Great content as always. Thank you, Happy Larry. We appreciate that. And J Rod Photo Art, who I think J Rod Photo Art is in Pennsylvania or someplace. I'm not sure exactly. Might head to the dam tomorrow and check out the Eagles. Is that Conowingo Dam you're going to, J Rod? And where is Conowingo Dam? And is that the dam you're talking about? Maryland. J Rod Photo Art is in Maryland. Is that where Conowingo Dam is, or is it someplace else? Don't know. Philly V, have you ever been to Conowingo Dam? Have you heard of it? Do you know what it's all about?
I have no idea. I've never even heard of it, actually.
Well, it looks, the Chickamauga Dam that I always go to on the channel, it looks a lot like that, except it has, I don't know how many bald eagles are often found there, but a lot. Like the other day, or maybe it's been longer than the other day, but maybe 6 weeks ago, I was at Chickamauga Dam and there were 6 osprey there at the same time. Well, if you go to Conowingo Dam and there's only 6 bald eagles, you're upset because that's not enough. That's way less than usual. Let's see. Yeah.
There's a dam here on Jordan Lake where I think it starts in usually January, February. They're eagles 60, 70 at a time there just
Wow.
feeding. So that whenever they open the dam, probably like a lot of dams, because the fish are kind of stunned when they get to the bottom, the eagles
Yeah.
just go crazy.
Yeah.
And there's a
Well,
lot of them there.
that is the exact reason why you often see birds that eat fish near the tailwaters of dams, because when they go through when the water goes through the turbines, the fish are either killed or, like you said, stunned, and they're easy pickings. Let's see. J Rod has filled me in. Conowingo Dam is in Darlington, Maryland. It's on the Susquehanna River, which I probably pronounced that wrong, with apologies. And he says in December there will be 100 plus bald eagles there. So awesome! I'd love to go there one day, and maybe I will. And in that time of year, probably in December, you'll see 50 or 60 photographers lined up with 600 f4s and teleconverters ready to go.
You need to
So
come over. You need to come
yeah,
over to Raleigh and check out some of these spots, because it might be December they start here too. It's probably around the same time, but and there's a lot of other. So in this time of year, there's osprey there by the hundreds, and great blue heron and great egret and those types of things. So it's probably similar to a lot of dams in the area.
yeah,
Lots
but
of eagle.
yeah, but Conowingo is like somewhat worldwide famous,
Mm.
and yours probably is too. I don't know. What else you got going on, Philly V? Oh, let me ask you this before you tell me what else you got going on. What do you think about my new name for you, Philly V?
I like it. In fact, my friend who lives down in Florida, that's what he calls me as well. So
Okay, so
yeah,
I didn't. Did I steal it from him, or did we both come up with it on our own?
yeah. I think you came up with it on your own. I've known my friend Mike in Florida for 30 something years now. So we met when we were just young punks. Now we're old punks, but yeah, it's I
Gotcha.
don't uh, I don't have a lot going on other than it's just Warbler mania right now, and I've been, like I said, a little lax to say the least. I don't know the last time I actually released a video. So I'd say I'm doing a big year, as you know. I set the
Yeah.
goal at 150, which I've eclipsed. And spoiler alert, not that anybody has watched the channel yet or not, I'm over 200, and these are
Oh
birds that
wow,
I've
cool.
actually photographed, not just seen, because I've seen more than that this year. But I think with these warblers coming in, I got a Veery the other day, which is a lifer for me. I've got a bunch of lifers. Hopefully, I'll see that golden wing and Wilson's and some others that would be lifers for me too. But the Connecticut maybe. But I'm hoping now that I'll finish the year in the maybe 215 range. Who knows? It depends on how the warblers come through, and then we start getting the ducks in here too. So could be interesting.
That's awesome. Now you started your big year not in January, if I recall. I think you started
Yeah,
it in December. So are you going to end it in December and then like take a break and start it on January 1 next time?
yeah. I think I started it maybe the day after Christmas, something like that. But
Oh,
yeah, I'll
that's
end it.
yeah, that's so close to January 1.
Yeah, I know. I just couldn't wait to get started.
The big year in 5 days. So, hey, I got a question for you, Philly V. Do you remember recently I told you about my friend Roger Ashley, who lives, he doesn't live like in Chattanooga, but he lives within an hour's drive or maybe even 45 minutes drive of Chattanooga. And I said you should follow him on Facebook. Did you
And I
follow him
have.
on, did you follow him on Facebook?
Yeah.
Dude gets some pictures, doesn't he?
Man, I think he got all the warblers that come through. I mean, and
Yeah.
not he didn't just get them; he nailed them. The photos he produces are just spectacular.
Yeah. He's a very talented individual. Um, And I want to say that maybe 5 years ago, his pictures were more documentary,
Mhm.
and now they're documentary and artistic. They're just really, really good photos. So if you're on Facebook, if he had a YouTube channel, that thing would have 100,000 subscribers
Yeah,
in a year. But he doesn't. But you can follow Roger Ashley Photographer. Help me spell it. Is it Ashley? I think.
I believe so.
I
Yeah.
think it's spelled just like it sounds. But anyway, he shoots. I can't remember if he shoots a Z8 or Z9, and he used to have one of these. But I don't know if he sold it, but it's definitely for sale right now. If you want a good deal on a 600 PF, he's got one because he bought the 400 2.8,
Oh,
which has the built-in 1 1/4 teleconverter built in. So anyway, good stuff. Roger Ashley photography.
as I call it, a car.
Yeah.
You
Well,
could buy
it
a
used
car.
to it used to be what a car costs, but now they're all,
Well,
the 400 2.8's only gone up 3 or 4 thousand in price, and cars have tripled. So uh, it used to be the price of a used car. Now it's the price of I don't know, a new set of wheels and tires. Car, Cars are expensive. It's crazy. All right, I'm catching up on comments. The 800 PF works great there. Interesting. Um, Maybe I'll get one day. Did J Rod? Do you have an 800 PF? I've seen an 800 PF in the flesh up there at the Hiwassee Wildlife Refuge, where I go in November and December to photograph sandhill cranes. But I don't have one. Maybe I'll have one day. That's a lot of money though. West Virginia Wildlife says, I'm more into video than photos, and the R5 II can do 8K 60 frames per second, which I think only the R5C and Z8 and Z9 can do. Interesting. Yeah, 8K is good for wildlife photography because you can crop in so much. That's a really cool thing about it.
yeah. So
Um,
I'm into video Phil, I know you know that, and I've done a couple mini documentaries on my channels using Sony gear. But not only does the R5 II have 8K60, it's got C-Log 2, which for me makes all the difference in the world. Because if you are in video and you grade your own, you do your own color grading, the difference to me between C-Log 3 and C-Log 2, uh, I would not shoot in log because I dislike C-Log 3 because it's so hard for me to grade, versus C-Log 2 seems so much easier to grade, easier to edit. So the biggest thing for me, I actually bought the R5C just before the R50 came out, and I returned it and ended up getting the R5 Mark II because it had C-Log 2 and it had all the other things. And plus, it's more of a photography first camera, which is something that I was didn't unknowingly looking for. But I ended up selling the R5 or returning the R5C and getting the Mark II. And it's been, for video, it's been phenomenal.
Gotcha. It's strange to me, and I've heard not from just you. I think the Petapixel guys say that C-Log 2 is better than 3. You would think that the third version would be
I
better
know
than the second version. I don't
it doesn't
understand
always
how
work
that
out that way,
works,
does it?
but yeah, I've definitely heard that C-Log, what's the word I'm looking for? 2
Too.
is I got up way too early to do bird photography today, so I'm kind of in a fog from lack of sleep. But anyway, I'm having a real good time. When I was whining and crying like a little girl about you not selling your R5 first version to me, it's because I wanted to use it for landscape photography.
Hmm.
But I may have used it for some bird photography too. But I have lots of really good Canon landscape lenses. I've got the 14 to, gosh, I can't remember what it is now, 14 to 30, maybe it's 14 to 35 f4. I can't remember. Got the 24 to 105 f4. Anyway, so that would have been a great landscape camera. Maybe someday a friend of mine will need to get rid of one really cheap.
Yeah, maybe when the R5 Mark III comes out.
Well, I don't know if I really want an R because the R5 II is going to be crazy expensive. I don't know. Maybe by that time it'll be. Anyway, long story short, I'll shut up. Now let's see here. J Rod said he saw a Cooper's Hawk today. That is really cool. We've got a Cooper's that runs around at work. I don't see it every day, but I see it, about once a month up there at work. So that's kind of neat.
So there was a Cooper's Hawk. So I was out looking for warblers, and I had a Philadelphia Vireo in my sights. I got some pretty crappy shots of it, but they were ID shots. And then this Cooper's flew in. I'm not kidding you, Phil. It flew in right over my head and landed in a tree about 10 feet away, just to the right of where the Philadelphia Vireo was, and it was gone. It never came back.
Did you get
So
it?
I got some spectacular shots of that Cooper's. He was 10 or 15 feet away.
Man, you should make a video with those pictures in it.
You would think that it would be a good way to get a couple of YouTube views. But
You know, and you'll see this in my Disney videos that are coming up. You don't have to make any footage in the field to make a photography video. You really don't.
that's
Like my
true.
YouTube videos, I start out they'll be coming up in a week or two, and I say hello, I'm Phil Thatch, and it's a still picture of me on the screen, and I'm just voicing over. And then I talk about where I did some shots. I show a satellite image of it from Google Images, and then I show the pictures and talk about it. So you could do that, is what I'm saying. You could do a satellite image of Lake Betts and say, "Hey, I was here and I was about to photograph this, and then this guy showed up and I shot it with this, and my settings were this," and you'll be rocking and rolling.
I will
You
take
don't,
that advice. That's solid advice.
yeah, I'm sure my Walt Disney World videos will get at least 25 or 30 views,
That's
maybe.
about in line with what my bird videos get. So
My Disney videos don't usually do well, but I love to do photography there, so I keep on doing them. Okay, David Olshan says, anyone see the Listers documentary on YouTube? Very interesting, big year program. I bet you have.
oh, it was hilarious. So I think it's more of like a mockumentary. Although I think the creators actually learned a little bit and appreciate the birding community. I think they went into this trying to make fun of, and you'll see it. I think it's made in that spirit. But I'm not offended as a birder. But there's a gentleman named Kent that they interview in that he's talking about Swallowgate Well, Kent is a Raleigh Durham birder who I know, and we go out from time to time together. But he's also an eBird reviewer, so he was involved in that whole thing. So if you ever watch it and you see the video of Kent Fila in his studio, that gentleman is in this area and quite a good birder,
That
very good
sounds like
birder.
something that I need to see. I may watch that today. What's it
It's
called?
very,
It's on YouTube, right?
yeah, listers.
Awesome.
It's
Okay,
very
J Rod
fun.
Photo Art says he also saw a warbler, Cooper's hawk, and a warbler. Sounds like your day, Phil.
Yeah.
And Happy Larry says if OM System released an OM1 Mark III with upgraded video specs, including 4K 120, do you think it would be a much bigger player on the wildlife market? I don't know. I think the thing that OM System needs to add is more megapixels. Um, I mean, of course, that's coming from a guy who doesn't do much video, which is weird for somebody to say who has a YouTube channel. But I'm almost always at 4K 24. That's where I like to be. But I don't do a lot of slow motion, and maybe you know what I mean. I might do 4K 60 sometimes. Like when I did some ducks on a pond, and I did them in 4K 60 and played them back at 24, which I think was like 40% speed slow motion. But I really think what would help OM Systems sell more cameras would be if they did an OM1 Mark III. It doesn't have to have a lot more megapixels, just maybe 24 or 26. Of course, you know the pixel density of the 20 megapixel sensor in the OM1 Mark II is still really dense. It's the same density as a 80 megapixel full frame camera, so I don't think they could get away with going too much more dense. But 4 extra megapixels would help a lot when it comes time to do a little cropping of your bird photos. J Rod says, yes, sir, when it came out. And I'm guessing he's answering, did you get an 800 PF? That's awesome. Man. Okay. We now all need to go to Maryland and borrow J Rod Photo Art's 800 lens. Happy Larry says, I do cast envious eyes on the Nikon system, especially those PF lenses. How does the Nikon Z8/9 autofocus compare to the R5 Mark II and the OM1 Mark II? I don't know how it compares to the R5 Mark II because I don't have one, but I think it is every bit as good as the OM1 Mark II for perched birds, and I think for birds in flight, it's better. I think it's definitely a better birds in flight camera. Once the OM1 Mark II, once you have it, it tends to stay on it pretty good. But the Z8, which I'm assuming the Z9 has the exact same autofocus system, acquiring the bird in flight is much faster and more reliable than the
Yeah.
OM1 Mark II.
So Phil, I had the Z8 and I sold it. And one of the things I liked most about the Z8 was the bird in flight. Like for me, I've never used a better bird in flight camera than the Z8 locked on. The issue that I had with it was with warblers. And so I can tell you that in my experience, the R5 Mark II autofocus for smaller birds specifically is better than the Z8. My
Oh,
personal experience. But
well, my question is this. When you were using the Z8, did you make a custom box that was 1 by 1 in size?
yeah, I went through all the different.
Not use the single point, but
No, it
make
was
a
like a wide with a, yeah. It was just a little tiny square, almost like the spot focus that I'll
yeah.
use in Canon. Yeah.
Okay, well that's what I used. Like before I did that, birds in a foliage situation were not good with the Z8. When I was
Yeah.
using auto area, the full sensor,
Yeah.
but once I made that custom box that's 1 by 1 in size, so I could get through the foliage to where the bird is, then you hit the focus button and it'll move off that center point. It'll
Yeah.
move away. It says, "Hey, that's a bird." I'm ignoring now this 1 by 1, and I'm following this bird around. Um, anyway, but I don't know. I've never used the R5 Mark II. It may be better as you say.
And the A7CR is better. So the reason I still use the A7CR for all its faults, and there are many, is because I haven't found a better small bird focusing camera, and it's 61 megapixels. So it's small. It's awkward for me because I've got fairly good size hands. The EVF is terrible. The back screen is terrible. The rolling shutter is terrible. It's not a good video is terrible. It's not a good birding camera.
Well, that
But for
explains why
me,
you
it's
use
perfect.
the mechanical shutter.
Exactly right. So with the way I shoot, which even before I get to CR, I still was shooting, you know, with a mechanical shutter, I was still shooting single shot. So for me, it wasn't a big deal. But for others who would watch like or potentially looking for a birding camera, that's not it. But I love it. It's my favorite, and the autofocus is just amazing.
Well, you know, I use the A6700, which is kind of built just like the
Yeah,
A7CR, and it's the same pixel density. If you take
yeah,
the
right. It is.
26 or whatever and do the 26.5 or whatever it is times 1.5 squared, it comes out to the same resolution
Yeah,
as. So I see where you're coming from, that's got the AI chip.
it does. Yeah,
Yeah, and so does the 6700. So I'm with you, brother. And I considered buying A7 or a what is it? ACR two.
A7 CR.
Yeah, it came out at
Yeah,
the same time as the A7C2,
right.
but it was the first version of the A7CR. So, and some reviewers were like, "Well, why didn't they call it a two?" Well, it was the first version of the A7CR, so that's why you don't call it a two.
Yeah, and it's
Um,
basically the A7R5 with a worse viewfinder, a worse screen, no 8K video. So they stripped it down, but the
yeah,
essence it's the
is it
same
is it one
processor,
card slot?
same one card slot. Yeah,
Yeah, which guess what? That's all I need.
that's all I ever
Yeah.
use.
Most of my cameras that have 2 memory cards have 1 card in them. Let's
Yeah.
let's let's see what happens here.
Uh oh.
Okay, so my main memory card is, oh, I don't know if I can, is a Angel Bird or whatever,
Yeah.
512 gigabyte CF Express
One card
Type
I use
V,
in my like in my Canon. Yeah.
and I do have this. It's a 64 gigabyte micro SD in an adapter. And you know what this is in there for? This is in there for just in case I forget to put my memory card back in my Pocket 3. I've always got
Ah,
a spare with me.
that's
Or
brilliant.
in the unusual and never has happened event of filling up a 512 gigabyte card, I do have 64 more gigs of very slowness.
That's
But
smart.
I never write, to both slots. I never do that. Of course, I've only shot one wedding in my life, so it's not like the world will come to an end if a card fries on me, like it would if I was a wedding photographer. Dude, we have been live for 63 minutes. How are you
Wow.
feeling? I know you're under the weather. Can you go some more, or you need to be
Yeah,
done?
yeah. No, I'm feeling good.
Cool. I'm good until 5, although we probably won't make it that long because it's only 3:58 or 9:58 if you're in the Netherlands or Sweden. Let's catch up on comments. Happy Larry, I've read that one, and I've read J Rod Photo Arts. Happy Larry says, I do cast envious. Oh, I've read that one. Uh, Burbs for Life says the R5 Mark II is probably the best out of those listed, and the OM1 Mark II and Z8 and Z9 are on par with each other. Interesting. There's Woody Mallory. You remember Woody, don't you, Philly V? He is a viewer of my channel and Ron's, so he's a lot of times in the
Oh, okay.
chat on the photographer's thingy.
Yeah,
Just
I got to
joining,
be
sorry
honest.
I missed most of it. Oh,
I don't normally watch the chat on the photographers roundtable, so I don't recognize the names.
gotcha. You know what? I'm always in there. I'm always logged on and watching. Uh, I don't want to miss anything. I have FOMO. Good to see you, Woody. Daniel Tilley says, "Do either of you have tips or videos on birding etiquette?" Interesting question. I am new to bird photography and see some serious people on the trail, so I don't want to be a bother to any or other photographers. Well, that's a great question. Some places, like for example, the Hiawassee Wildlife Refuge, there's 10 or so people lined up and the birds never get close. You can have conversations with each other without worrying about spooking birds. So in that situation, you can walk right up, set up your tripod, or hold your camera, and have conversation without being a problem. But if you see a bird photographer who is all alone and they're working on a shot, don't walk up to them, tap them on the shoulder, say, "What are you shooting?" Because two things, you'll bother them, and you'll also probably spook the bird that they're on. Um, do you have any etiquette tips, Philly V?
Yeah, I do, and actually, I've been thinking about making a video, and I just haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah.
But but
Easy.
I mean, to me, it comes down to just common courtesy, right? Like you said, so you can when you come to a spot, generally you'll see social birders and you'll see birders who are kind of more serious, and just pay attention to the visual cues like you were talking about. If you got a guy with a A1 2 and a 600 f4 lens, and he's kind of off by himself, and he's seriously into the birding piece of that, or the photography piece of that, then maybe just wait. If you want to introduce yourself, wait until he's done or whatever. But it's really, to me, just a lot of common sense as far as you know should you speak when there are birds around. And again, I go out a lot by myself. And in general, obviously, I'm quiet because I'm not talking to myself usually.
Mm,
But I do like the social aspect of birding as well. And a lot of times, especially on the weekends when my friends get out, we'll go out and we're not particularly quiet necessarily, but pay attention to where you are, like physically where you are. One thing that aggravates me, and a lot of experienced birders do this to me too, is somebody will step into my shot, and in a social environment, I usually don't say anything. But if I were by myself and somebody came through and walked by, I might say something. I'm usually not confrontational, but just situationally, like spatially, find out where you are and just try not to step in anybody's shot. And don't, for the love of Pete, don't be the person who we see a painted bunting and you jump in front of somebody else to grab that painted bunting shot. Like, just again, I think a lot of it is just common sense. And there are some people who are very serious photographers and birders, and it's best just to, if you're a social person like I am usually, it's best just to let those folks come to you if they want to introduce themselves. Otherwise, if they're out by themselves, generally don't go and steal their shot. Or you can usually tell. Just come up and take a second or two and survey the shot and survey the area and kind of just figure out what you think is going on. And then to always default to just not getting close to somebody necessarily, or not trying to step into their shot, and then kind of let them come to you if it's a social thing.
that's good stuff. You know, I was the first time I ever went to um, the Stick Marsh in Florida. What is the guy's name? The greatest photographer in the world. I'm
Mark
so
Smith.
brain damaged from not having any sleep.
Mark Smith.
Mark Smith. Thank you. Mark Smith was there, and he was walking across the parking lot. And as I was getting out of the car, and I said good morning, and he said good morning, and he was going over to get some sticks to put down because the spoonbills come and pick up the sticks that you put down and take them to build a nest. But when he came back over to the area where you sit down and shoot, there were 4 or 5 other photographers, and I know for a fact that he hosts photography tours there, and those people are probably paying him money to show him how to shoot. So I didn't say another word to him the whole time. I mean, I sat 10 feet from him and did photography for an hour and a half. Didn't say a word to him because I didn't want to interrupt what he had going on. But anyway, it was still cool to see him.
Yeah, that's
And
amazing restraint. I'm not sure, even after what I just said, that I would have been able to avoid that temptation with Mark Smith, but that's
yeah. Um, so that was an excellent question and great answer, Philly V. Let's see here. Do either of you have? My boss just messaged, and I am going to respond. Philly V, it's all yours for just a second. I got to text my boss.
sure. Just go through what he's going to another Eagle release on Friday. And I'm assuming maybe Phil knows that about that Eagle release program, but I'd actually love to go see one of those. It looks like it's an adult. I I see a lot of eagles on Jordan Lake where I like to camp. I camp quite a bit, and I've seen a bunch of juveniles and a bunch of adults, but I've never actually seen one released. I think that would be a cool experience. Just even if you weren't taking photos or video, just a cool experience. But
Yeah, apparently Woody goes to them relatively often. I've never been to one, but I'd love to. That would be really really cool.
yeah, J Rod has a good one. Make eye contact if you can. That's another. sometimes it's hard with photographers, but that's another way of just kind of, you can tell when you look at somebody's eyes, like if they're serious. There's some friends of mine that I know if I see them, I don't talk to them at all when they're engaged. And if they want to speak with me, they'll come to me. And you just kind of learn that about the kind of the habits of, and for birders, like just with binoculars and those types of, generally birders don't care as much about those types of things. They're, in my experience, a little more social, but photographers can be, I mean, we all know, right? We're in that zone. That Philadelphia Vireo is there, and we want to get some shots of that Philadelphia Vireo or that painted bunting or whatever it is.
Yes.
Just kind of think about how you would react yourself in that situation. But that's a good tip, and be polite. Yeah.
Let's see here. That's a great comment, J Rod. Just be polite. Some folks will love to talk. I like to talk too, but I always find, or I don't want to say always find, but I often find that my photography immediately goes downhill if I start talking to somebody. Now, two situations where that's not the case is it like if Heather and I are both working from the car, then we talk the whole time. Like sometimes one of us might spot a bird in the thicket and the other one hasn't, and we'll say it's here. And I love it when she says it's on that branch. Like there's 450,000 branches on this tree. Which one are you talking about? But anyway, so that's one. Like, and if you're in a group situation, like I imagine it would be at Conowego Dam, and like I know it is at the Hiwassee Wildlife Refuge when I shoot sandhill cranes, you can definitely talk there. But if you're in a situation where talking might spook a bird, that's that's a no-no. That's a no-no for sure. Let's see here. Is the OM System 150 to 600 lens as heavy as the Nikon 180 to 600? I think they're pretty similar in terms of weight. Let me look that up for you. That's the worst thing about the OM System 150 to 600. It's the same lens as a Sigma 150 to 600. It's the exact same lens. It's just been converted to work for Micro Four Thirds and rebranded. I am looking it up for you now. Ooh, it's off sale. It was on sale for 2,000 for a long time. Now it's back up to 26.99, which is way more than it costs for the Sigma version for Sony. Let's
Yeah.
see. It weighs 4.55 pounds, which is a lot, in my opinion, especially for a Micro Four Thirds camera. And the Nikon 180 to 600, I'm almost there. Weighs 4.3 pounds. So it weighs 0.25 pounds more than the Nikon 180 to 600, and it's on a little bitty Micro Four Thirds camera. So that's the answer to that. Greetings from, let's see. How are you finding the OM System 150 to 600? I like it a lot. I think it needs to be stopped down a little bit. I don't. I think wide open, it's a little tiny bit soft. It's definitely better stopped down from 6.3 to 7.1. I wish I could afford the 150 to 400 with the 1.25 teleconverter and the f4.5 continuous aperture, but that's just more money than I can put into that system. But I'm glad I have the 150 to 600, and I will continue to shoot with it for a long time. Nature Photo Studios says greetings from Iowa. Greetings, Nature Photo
Hey,
Studios. Thanks for joining. You there? You saying something to me, boss?
I was saying, hey to
Oh, sorry.
Nature Photo Studio.
Woody says a lot of eagles in my part of Virginia. That is awesome. And my good buddy Ray Soldano says, Phil, you like to talk? I don't believe it. It depends. If I'm in the middle of if there's a bird that I don't want anybody to spook, then I don't like to talk. But otherwise, yeah. Ron Durant. I never can say Ron's name wrong. Ron Durant is here. Hello, Ron. This Philly V and I are testing out the, now I can't remember what it's called. What is
Go
it called?
live,
The
go side by side. I forget what it's called.
It's in the description of this video. I'll go read it. Go live together. It's
together.
a feature of the YouTube app. You have to do it on your phone. It has to be vertical, but you can have just two people, not three, live stream for free without having to subscribe to Zoom or anything. And it's Philly V's birthday, and we were talking about this yesterday, and now we're doing it. So, and we've been doing it for, gosh, how long have we been on here? We've been doing
An
it for
hour 15.
yeah, we've
Yeah.
been doing it for 75 minutes, and apparently it's working. So how cool is that? And it's just, I wish I had a mirror so I could show you. We're just, I've just got my cell phone sitting in a tripod clamp, and we're off to the races. Let's see what he says. I photographed the releases for the. Oh, you do it for the Wildlife Center. That's cool. So
Oh,
they
nice.
use your photos. That's fantastic for them and to use as they need. And I do it for the fun of it, no charge. And that's awesome. Actually a pretty good quid pro quo. You get to go to the
Yeah.
Eagle release, and they get pictures. I mean, can't get better than that, because I imagine they don't like 1,000 people being at the Eagle release. So the fact that you get to go and bring your camera, and all it costs is letting them use the pictures, which you probably would have done anyway, that's a good deal. David Olson, most people who approach me comment on how impressive my camera and big lens must take good photos, not that the photographer has anything to do. Yeah, I hate that. Boy, your camera must take really great pictures. I said, well, it depends on who's using it. Uh, when I first got a nice camera, it was a nice camera, and it didn't take great pictures because I didn't know what I was doing yet. But through years and years of practice, I kind of have figured it out.
I haven't done
Um,
that. I haven't done it yet. But one of the times that somebody says that to me, I want to say, "Well, give me yours. Let's switch." And then take a look at the photos I get with your camera. And
yeah, there you go. Then he'll hand you a an instant camera with film in it, and okay, let's
I'll take
see.
that challenge.
Woody Mallory says, "Amen to that, David Olson." I get that a lot. Yeah, I'm sure anybody with a good camera does. Birds for Life. Also, interestingly, the 150 to 600 millimeter has a 0.71 magnification on micro four thirds. Yeah, that's
Okay.
cool. That is cool. Um, Woody Mallory, hey Ron, he's saying hi to Ron. YouTube live together. Ron knew what it was called before I could look it up. Hello, Woody. Let's see. Happy Larry, based in the UK, and I'm jealous of the birds you get in America. Well, you know what? I'm jealous of the birds you get in the UK. But if a common bird in the UK, like the tufted duck, turned up in your local area, would it be a twitch for you? I'm not sure what being a twitch for me means, but I would be very excited to see it. I want to go to the UK and photograph common birds that would be amazing for me, like the robin
Yeah.
there, which reminds me of it reminds me of an eastern bluebird, but in different colors. I would love to photograph one of those. A great tit, and all those tits. They got a lot of tits in the UK. We've just got the tufted titmouse over here, which I love. But there's I don't know all the names of them, but anyway, I like the birds you have there, and I think that's the blackbird that has the. It's all black, but it has like a yellow ring, or maybe a tan or beige ring around its eye. That's another one in the UK that we don't get around here that I'd love to photograph. I would love to go someplace like Australia
Mhm.
where you just go out and take pictures of parrots, wild parrots.
Yeah.
How cool would that be?
Yeah, I would make a trip out. If a tufted duck showed up in my area, I would make a trip an hour or two potentially. And that's saying something for me because generally I don't, even though I'm doing a big year, like there's a brown booby that is 45 minutes from me. I just haven't had the opportunity for a lot of different reasons to get out there and try to find it. A lot of
You
my friends
should
have. I'm not a lister, and we're talking about the movie listers. I'm not
yeah.
really a lister. I'm just a casual birder who won't. It's something for me. It's more about finding a rare bird in spots where I'm going to be or where I am than chasing something that somebody has already spotted. So everybody's different, and it'd be great to have pictures of a brown booby because they don't come around here very often in North Carolina. Very rarely, in fact, but I just didn't. I haven't chased it.
Will drive for boobies.
We're talking about tits and boobies. What kind of a show is this?
It's a bird show, obviously. Let's see. Woody says the UK buzzards look like our hawks, at least to me. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
The raptors from around the world are so cool looking. Ron is talking to Happy Larry, but you have some amazing landscapes photographed. Oh man, are you kidding me? How I would love to go to Scotland or the Lake District. Man, oh man, the trees just look better there. Uh-oh, Ray Soldano is talking. In the UK, a twitcher is a dedicated bird watcher. Okay, thanks for the education there, Ray, who travels long distances to see and record rare birds, adding them to a personal list of sightings. That's awesome. I had no idea. I thought it was like Twitch, like you got so excited that you started twitching. The term, which originated for the nervous twitching of a British birdwatcher named Howard Medhurst, describes an almost obsessive pursuit of seeing as many different bird species as possible. I love it. I love it. I might twitch. I might twitch.
Yeah, then I'm definitely an anti Twitch, I guess.
I don't know, man. You've got a big list of 200 birds you photographed this year. You may be a closet twitcher.
It could be. It's just such a we're so blessed with the wildlife areas that we have around us. So I was talking to somebody the other day from my home. I'm in South Durham, which is in an area called Research Triangle Park, which is kind of central eastern North Carolina, I guess more eastern North Carolina. But there are 465 eBird hotspots within 60 miles of where I am. It's
Man,
crazy.
you must be
Like
twitching all the time.
you go to eBird and you look at that circle if you're kind of on the app, and there's just like I get some alerts just because I'm still casual about it. But if there is something that's very rare that comes around, like you can sign up for eBird rare bird alerts for each county, and the email just goes crazy. We're in such a great spot. The only problem, well, not problem, but we only see warblers in general in the spring and fall. And then, we've got ducks. And so there's a lot of birds that will pass through the area that aren't necessarily residents or breeders here, but we can see them at least twice a year. So it's been an amazing spot.
That's
And I would
awesome.
imagine in Virginia, it's probably very similar as well.
One of these days, you're going to get me out to North Carolina. I'm
I'm
gonna
telling
I'm gonna
you,
I'm gonna twitch my way out there one of
twitch
these
it.
days. It'll probably be after 2028. Uh, what would really make it work is if Heather had one of her conferences and it just happened to be in Durham, so she could conference and I could go kick it with you and do that sort of thing.
Home
Hey,
of
I
Duke
have a question
University.
for the people who are watching because, and here's the question. I'm using an external microphone hooked up to my iPhone, and Philly V is using the microphone that is built into his cell phone. Or is the audio good from both? Is one better than the other?
Yeah.
Is there a difference? So, if anybody has a comment about that, I'd love to see that in the chat.
Yeah, I think next time I'll hook mine up, but I just
Yeah,
wasn't prepared.
yeah.
As
And you know what
usual.
I'm doing? I have the plug-in USB-C for this microphone. The DJI Mic Mini has another USB-C port on it, and I've got a power bank
Oh boy. Yeah,
pl-
I should have
plugged
checked.
plugged into it, and my phone is staying charged.
Oh, yeah, I'm 36% of my battery, so I'm still good, luckily.
Gotcha. I have my phone set to not charge above 80% because I think it's bad for the battery to do that, and it's at 80% right now after all this streaming. Okay, let's see. We've got some more comments. Um, Bird nerd in the US. Yeah, that's what we call it. I think I need to. I think I'm behind.
Yeah, looks like we've got
Got a lot of got a lot of chatter activity.
uh,
For some reason I'm struggling to scroll.
I think maybe Daniel Tilley might be the next, and that's a great question. Happy Larry did ask if there's a
Okay, I
US
got it. I
program
got it. Thank
available.
you. Have either of you ever used the Nikon D7100? I have. I bought it on Black Friday sale for like $800, brand new.
Still my
Um,
favorite camera. I
uh,
used that thing to death, literally until it died.
I shoot birds with the D810, but want a 24 megapixel APS-C for better reach. Should I spend $80 more for the D7200, which has a better buffer? I don't know. I don't know what sensor the 7200 has, but as long as you're just using single point, I had real good luck with the autofocus. I used to use that D7100 with that 500 f4 that I used to have, and the 1.4 teleconverter. Excuse me, and it was dynamite. Great camera, but I don't know if I'd recommend it over the 7200 or vice versa. How about bird nerd in the U.S.? Yes, exactly. I saw two bald eagles yesterday. Yeah, Ray texted me this picture he made with his cell phone of two bald eagles yesterday flying over the basketball arena, which is in downtown Chattanooga, but not far from the river. Yeah. UTC is, you can walk to the Tennessee River from the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga, where Ray and my wife Heather works, in about 5 minutes. Daniel Tilley, look at the used D500, pretty cheap now and still one of the best for wildlife. I agree. Phil's audio sounds much more rich and well-rounded. uh, Phil V has a little more, I'm not sure what
Echo,
he,
I think.
oh, echo, I gotcha. Okay, well, it sounds like next time we try this, especially seeing as how you have the same mic that I
Yeah,
have, plug
I'm
her
like,
in. Um, Phil V is a little more tinny. Audio good on both. Both sound fine. Phil
I'm a
T
robot.
audio is better. Phil V is louder and more rough. You're
Yeah, my
loud.
voice
You're loud
my
and
voice is
rough.
really rough today for whatever, like probably part of what I'm going through. But my voice is not normally
Yeah,
this
yeah,
kind of
yeah. Phil's a
fashion.
little under the weather. Plus, he just turned, I can't remember, 56 today. So,
Yeah,
your voice is going to sound rough once you get 56.
that's it. I think that's switch has been flipped.
Okay, let's see. Woody says, still use my D7100, but not for birds. Interesting. Heather made, I wonder if I can get it. Heather made a landscape photography photo with the D7100. And one of the viewers, Mike Mitchum, liked it so much, he offered to print it. And here it is. This is a photo that she made with the D7100 of this is the Fallen 5 Memorial. There was one of those stupid shootings here in Chattanooga at a Navy place, and 5 guys got killed. And she made this high dynamic range shot with a D7100, and I think a Tamron ultra wide. And look at the sky, just awesome. Anyway, D7100 for the win. I want to hang this back up. It's all yours, Philly V.
And that Toshiba 24 megapixels great sensor. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. So I didn't actually use the D7200. I had the 7100, and then I upgraded to the 7500, which I didn't like as much. I think it had the same sensor as the D500. I just it, I don't think I gave it a fair chance. probably probably a pretty good setup. I was moving on to mirrorless more at that point. So
So I think the sensor in the D7100 is made by Toshiba.
yeah,
A lot of the Nikon sensors these days are made by Sony, but I think that old sensor is made by Toshiba. And it was a really, I mean, I don't know, man. I almost feel like I should pick up a used one just because, like my buddy David, uh, I like cameras, Phil. We've established that. My
yeah.
buddy David has bought an old
I don't
um
know if you can see all the gear
a,
back there,
a
but
D200, which has what's it's not if a sensor's not CMOS, what is it? Anyway, I can't remember the technology, but
I can't.
he's been making some really good pictures with it in his videos lately. Okay, behind again. Still use my D7100, not for birds. I know Ron says get the D7100 has the Toshiba sensor. Oh, and I'm sorry I'm being redundant. Ron has already told us about the Toshiba sensor. Happy Larry, I've missed on a ring-necked duck in the UK and got soaked with the rain to boot. Seen lesser scalp in the UK, West Midlands though, near where Ozzy Osbourne came from, Birmingham, not Birmingham like we say in there's a city called Birmingham in Alabama just
Yeah,
south of me here in Chattanooga, but over there they call it Birmingham. Birmingham. I'm probably not doing that right, but I'm doing it closer than Birmingham. Rond Ront says It's Ron Durant, Phil. It's not Durant. Used on MPB, a D7100 is about $299. That's pretty good considering I bought one brand new when they were the latest thing for $800. Man, I got a good deal on that thing. It was a Black Friday sale on Amazon, not Amazon, but Amazon. CCD. Thank you, Ron.
You see that?
Ray says Philly T, not Philly V, has a strong case of gas. He is exactly right. Always have and probably always will. Hopefully, I'll get over it when I retire and just say,
I,
you know what? I've got a whole cabinet full of crap. Maybe I should just be happy.
I was
Woody
going to say
says,
a good remedy for gas is retirement. You can trust me on
yeah,
that.
okay. Well, I got 3 years to go, baby. Let's see. It is something good about the D71 sensor for sure. And then J Rod has helped us out with CCD that I couldn't remember. We're caught up on comments.
Wow.
What else is going on? Have you guys seen the 50 to 200 f2.8 OM system lens? It's a white lens. It's an expensive lens. It's 100 to 400 full frame equivalent, and it's 2.8. Anyway, I'm begging and pleading my comment at my contact at OM System to let me try that thing out, and maybe they will one day. I'll take it out on the back porch and take pictures of birds on a stick. Oh, my purchase that I need to change the purchase, but I never do because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It broke. One of my perches fell off the
Oh,
porch, and I had to put a new perch out there. But I don't know when I'm going to do another video from out there, but one of these days I will. Phil V, that ain't no line. Wait till he retires. Yeah.
yeah.
Newbie at
Bug
Birding in Hillsboro, North Carolina, R7, 100 to 500. Great combination.
Michael,
Try
we're
the,
neighbors
yeah. You
pretty
could
much.
go. You could go shoot with Philly V. How close is
Yeah.
Hillsboro to you, Philly V?
Very close. It's probably, in fact, one of the places where I like to go, Brumley, which is for a great place for warblers, is I think it's technically in Chapel Hill, but just a few miles from Hillsboro. So Hillsboro proper for me is about 15 minutes.
Oh yeah, you guys could totally twitch together.
Yeah. So Michael, if you want to reach out at Photo Gear Fun or Bull City Birding are my two YouTube channels. If you ever want to just leave a message there, maybe somehow we can connect and go out if you're into some birding. But I know Brumley is insane. I'll actually be there. Hopefully, I'll be there tomorrow. I've got some plans to meet some friends there, but it's an insane spot for warblers.
Awesome. With that R7 and 100 to 500, I recommend using electronic shutter and the slowest speed, which is only 4 frames per second, but you'll have, in my opinion, you'll have more keepers. Your mileage may vary. Let's see. Woody Mallory says, "You guys are youngsters. I retired 12 years ago, 70 now. I'm 58. I turned 59 in 12 days, but we're definitely youngsters. I love that you're still doing bird photography because it makes me feel like I've got some good bird photography in front of me. That's awesome and inspirational, Woody." Ray is talking to Ron Durant. Hey, I said it right the first time. That's unbelievable. When is the next Photographers Roundtable? And I believe the answer is coming. It's October 29th, and it's going to be awesome. I recommend everybody tune in to Ron's channel for that on the 29th. Daniel Tilley, have to head out now. This was great. Thank you both and everyone in the chat for doing this and giving a bunch of good advice. Thanks for joining us. It'd be just me and Philly V BSing if it weren't for you guys. So thanks for coming along. Michael says, "Thanks. I'll try to contact you. Let me know, Philly V, if you run into him. And you know what you should do? You should put him in a video. You should say, 'Hey, this is Michael. I met him in a live stream that I did with other Phil from Tennessee, and now he's on YouTube.' And Ron has to go too. See y'all later. Have a good one. You know what? Maybe we should call it. I think it's been pretty good. It's been a pretty good time, and we've been on for 94 minutes, which is quite a while. And I've run out of water.
You got to get a big glass.
I know. You know what? I would have probably gone through that too. But man, this has been cool. The test go live together is successful, and I'm looking at it here in a horizontal format, and it doesn't look bad. It doesn't
Yeah,
look bad at all.
I've got it up
Um,
on my monitor, and actually it looks pretty decent. The quality is not bad.
yeah, what's the it's 1080p.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah,
Yeah. You
that's pretty awesome.
can see
I
my
think it
wood duck.
works. We should definitely do this again, Philly V. What do you think?
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure. Good times. And everybody needs to definitely check out Bull City Birding, which Philly V is definitely going to make more videos at some point, maybe as soon as tomorrow.
Yeah, if
And
if you
all,
do, leave a comment and say make more videos, and then I'll know.
yeah. Oh, and everybody needs to hit thumbs up. We've got
Oh yeah,
zero. I think we got 0 thumbs up. We need more thumbs ups.
got one now.
Oh no, we got 14. I hit refresh. We got 14 thumbs up. So that's cool. Let's see. Good times and big success. Looks and sounds great. This is awesome. Thanks everybody. I
Thanks,
got to
Gary.
figure out how to stop this thing. I have no idea. I wonder if it'll stop if I hit this button. Oh, wonder what this does. Retouch on. I don't want to retouch. I
To
want to stop.
beautify.
Next time we do this, I'm going to know how to stop it better. I wonder if I hit this X, if it stops. Just in case this stops. Bye, everybody. Thanks for coming. Philly V, thanks for joining.
Thanks.
Your stream will stop immediately, and you and your guest will no longer be live when you press this button. Here I go. Bye bye.